Hey, it's Downtown. I'm here with Michael Batnick. We're going to play our favorite game. What are your thoughts? Michael does not know what I'm going to ask him, and I don't know what he's going to ask me. Stick around. So, Mike, the first thing I want to ask you is something that's in the news this week. Supposedly, the Trump administration is going to try to get a new tax cut pushed through, either through Congress or otherwise, where investors with assets that they've owned for years and years will be able to sell them and index their cost to inflation, meaning they'll get a stepped up original purchase price, and as a result, pay less taxes on the gain. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like it's maybe appropriate, even though you could question what time in the cycle they're doing this. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so this is Midtown Michael here, and that's a pretty aggressive first question. It's complicated. I haven't given it much thought. So what is the exact question?
The question is it like an outrageous thing to say that somebody who bought a building in 1985 should be selling it with the original cost basis, not indexed for inflation? Or is it reasonable for them to say, all right, no problem, I'll pay the tax on the sale, but not in 1985 dollars?
Yeah, this is complicated. I don't have thoughts. How about that? I'm sorry.
Okay, so we're kicking ass already.
All right,
what do you got?
Let me ask you a question. You're talking a lot about Succession these days. What is it about that show that has you so hooked on it?
All right, so I was thinking about this last night. I was asking, is Succession corporate Sopranos or is it media Game of Thrones? Either way, those are two of my favorite shows ever, and it reminds me a lot about them because there's a lot of family stuff, there's a lot of backstabbing stuff. I think the writing is good, I think the acting is really good, and I just feel like this is a show that they could get like 5 to 7 seasons out of. Like I don't see it getting tired or old, given how many directions they could take it. And it's about, it's about corporate stock market stuff, so it's kind of in our world. So you started watching it.
I'm 2 episodes in. I'm enjoying it. Those are good analogies. I like that.
Okay, so I mean, you're 2 in?
Yeah, I'm 2 in.
All right, but you really have to commit and get, because it really speeds up and starts to pick up speed in like episode 5.
I'm committed. I'm in.
All right. I wanted to ask you about, so it seems like the last 4 or 5 prospective clients that we've talked to, people with substantial amounts of money, one of the things that they all seem to bring up is that they're being pitched hard on private equity. And private equity probably is compounding at a much higher rate than the stock market over the last 5 years, but then even for 20 years, the returns have just been great on paper. Is it reasonable for people to be pitched those types of returns as though they're going to continue?
Is it reasonable? No. Do I understand why they're being pitched that way? Of course.
Right. So like when you think about, so you could imagine somebody pitching an equity portfolio and using 5-year numbers, and the 5-year numbers are mid-teens. So like it's probably not much different, just that mentality.
Well,
right?
I think the word is certainly out at this point that public stocks are not going to deliver 10% a year continually the way that they have for the past few years. Now, are private markets going to do better continually? I don't think so, but I understand why it's being pitched that way. So I don't really have any great insights there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think the one comment I would add to that is that if you talk to private market investors, not one of them is going to tell you that they feel like there are great values out there. Like,
right.
It's not like they're dealing with a parallel universe from ours. There's just too much capital, period, and it's got to be everywhere.
Yeah.
So, all right, what do you got?
Okay, so I was asked 2 weeks ago, if you could select one person to manage your money for the next 10 years, who would it be? And the answer that I gave was David Blitzer.
David Blitzer. Oh, so S&P 500 index. That was your clever way of saying put it in the index.
There it was. That was my cop out. What do you got?
I don't know. Maybe Jeremy Schwartz at Wisdom Tree, but him personally, and let him just nerd out with it. Because I feel like I can beat Jeremy up, and he's a friend of mine. I feel like if he disappoints me, I can get my hands on him. But I think he's really bright, and he believes in what I believe in, which is stocks for the long term. So maybe that's the direction I would go. The other crazy direction I might take it is just like beg the O'Shaughnessy's to let me in on the family office and do all the private equity stuff that they're starting to do. I don't know. It would be something to that effect. Who's your second answer if you can't pick the index? Do you have one?
Probably Wes and Jack.
Wes and Jack?
Yeah.
They're going to compound your face off?
I hope so.
I love those guys. All right. I don't think we could get away with doing the show without this week without mentioning the massive drop in Facebook and then Twitter and now Netflix. And I guess, what are your thoughts on the FANGs blowing up here? Even though the short-term drops have been big, isn't this just what they do? This
is just what they do, and even after the 20% crash in Facebook, it's still up 500% over the last 5 years.
Right, so it's flat on year, but it's only July.
Okay, so now, did I buy it? No, and as a matter of fact, my next question for you was, did you buy it?
No.
Why not?
No. I have a buy limit order in for Twitter if it gets to this absurd price that I have in mind, but I did not go in and just buy the dip Facebook. I recommend anyone that wants to understand why the street suddenly has turned on the stock, check out Ben Thompson's blog. It's called Stratechery. He did a really good post about the expense growth exploding while revenue growth is now decelerating. There's some really good charts in there too.
So that's really interesting, but I just don't think, even though it was a big decline in one day, I don't think that you could say something that's up 500% in the last 5 years, flat year to date, is all of a sudden this great bargain. And when cracks start to appear in the growth story of a stock like this, I just don't know that you buy it like the first or second day after it disappoints.
Do you believe in the penalty box where it has to sit out a quarter?
Sure.
Okay, so then by that logic, let's see if it's back on the horse.
How about this?
Next.
How about this? Gun to my head, I would say that is it going to make a new high, all-time high in the next 12 months? Answer for me is no.
Okay, 100 or 200, which does it see first?
Where is it now? One.
Right in the middle.
100.
Really?
But I don't really believe that.
Okay, so you're going short Facebook.
No.
Okay.
Stop.
What do you got?
All right. Stocks have done pretty well lately. Have they not?
Many of them, ex-Facebook, sure.
So if you are a person who is worried about the future, whether you think, whatever the reason is, what do you think is the best way to hedge a portfolio?
Own less stocks and own more short-term treasuries and cash.
All right, but
as opposed to what?
Give me a little bit more.
Selling calls?
Yeah, give me a little bit more bullshit.
Well, I'll give you all the bullshit. You can spend a ton of money hedging a portfolio that's inappropriately sized for you, or you can say, what is the appropriate size of my portfolio, and scale your equity investment accordingly, and have the rest be in things that are either non-correlated or are directly risk off. And I just think that's, like, why would you pay insurance for something that's bigger than what you need anyway?
What do you mean?
All right, so California wildfires. Let's say you have 20 acres of land, and the cost to insure them is worth more than you can make in rents on that land. Sell the fucking land.
Okay.
How is this even a question? The alternative is buy black swan funds, be shorting the E-mini on a regular program, sell calls against all your equity holdings, load up on gold, lever up your bonds like you think you're Dalio. You could do all that stuff too. You're gonna look like a schmuck. And if you're wrong about the need to be very hedged at this very moment, and the next 20% in the U.S. stock market is higher, then all you've done is take all the upside out of your portfolio and lost sleep over something that didn't make sense to begin with.
Right.
So
what if the next 100% is lower?
The next 100% is lower, then the portfolio is not what you need to worry about. You need shooting practice. You need to get to the range.
That's right.
All right, I want to ask you about football. So, camp is on, and we're already getting injuries, which is great. It's right around that time of year, and we're already hearing about player disputes. The Jets already screwed things up with Darnold, which is classic.
Yeah.
They've already made him hate the organization. Is it too early for us to even be thinking about football, or no?
No.
Okay.
Camp is on. Not at all. We had an argument the other day, actually, speaking of football. I said that football is, because there's the most parity in the sport, you could most quickly turn around the football franchise out of any of the sports. And you said it was basketball, and I could not disagree more.
I said, okay. What I said was, which can you turn around a team with just the addition of one player faster, football or basketball?
That was not the argument.
Yeah, because we were talking about the draft. I said you could own the worst NFL franchise and get the top draft pick, or own the worst NBA franchise and get the top draft pick. How would you not choose to be in that situation with an NBA team?
First of all, the best prospect in the world is not going to take a 15-win team to the playoffs. Maybe they'll take it to 30 wins.
I'm not saying you have to win that season. I'm saying to turn around the worst
I'm
franchise.
saying same thing with the football team. Like the young quarterback is not going to turn around the franchise. However, give the best GM in both sports one offseason to turn it around. You can do it quicker in football. That's what I was saying.
But it has to be based on a quarterback or a GM, you're saying?
Saying in one offseason, you could turn around the football franchise much quicker than basketball.
So tell that to Cleveland.
It's a shitty organization.
Okay, but there are shitty organizations in the NBA that are going to compete this year. Look at the Lakers 2 years ago versus what might happen this year. They could go second. They could go to the second round of the playoffs. Can you do that with an NFL franchise?
Next.
All right.
Let's talk about corporate profits.
Okay.
Up 24% year over year tracking right now, according to Bank of America Merrill Lynch.
Up how much?
24% for the S&P 500.
But how much of that is from the benefit of the tax break? In other words,
I'm sure a large amount, but I guess the question is this as good as it gets, and is this fully baked into the stock market?
So one thing about this earnings season is that it's been spectacular, but so was the first quarter earnings season, and stocks sold off. So we have not made a new S&P 500 high since January 26th.
However, the S&P 500 total return index made a new high last week.
Great. So, but marginally. Like it's not like we're in this huge bull market, even though earnings have been explosive. So the question
Hold
is...
on, we are in a huge bull market.
For the NASDAQ?
For everything.
All right, so we're in a consolidation phase.
We're in the resting wants higher phase.
I hope you're right. I'm just saying that good as it gets on earnings haven't seemed to be driving the markets this year. Maybe they've supported us and stopped us from giving back a lot of 17. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Buybacks to me are more important this year, not because the fundamentals don't matter, just because of what's driving sentiment. And the best argument you could make for a summer rally or an early fall rally is that, and this is also according to Bank of America Merrill Lynch, we are getting into the seasonally strongest period of the year for buyback activity, and it already started last week. So maybe that's the thing. I don't
know. Seasonality and buybacks just sounds sort of LOLZ.
All right, I'm all out. I got nothing left for you. Got anything for me?
No, I'm done.
All right, good to see you. We will see you all soon. And if you have thoughts on any of the topics we discussed, drop them in the comment section. We love our commenters. We love our subscribers. And feel free to take issue with all of Michael's ridiculous opinions that I disagree with.